Okay, so I've been asked to speak on the Find Your Love in Japan's video titled, I don't even remember the title. So the premise of the video is to experiment and find out whether Japanese men have a preference for white women over black women. There's schooled, learned, and educated people in the field of racial culture and racial dating that have exhausted research in this area and have found that yes, there is a preference for white skin and white people over people of color, and in particularly black women. This is not news. This is not new. This is not revolutionary. This is nothing grand. Now, as a black woman in Japan, I have experienced this preference. I've seen it. I've seen Japanese men who, and get this now, this is the key, because while they're willing to have sex with me or they're willing to date me, they cannot see me as a girlfriend or wife because I am black. Now, this is key. That is a key thing, because in his experiment, he spoke to one guy who was willing to speak on camera, and that guy stated that for a girlfriend, and he went as far as to clarify that for a girlfriend, he would choose the white woman. Now, he used two pictures of two women, equally beautiful women, one with a black woman who was smiling. She was smiling and approachable. And he says the men thought that the woman was aggressive, that she was less feminine. Bear in mind, she has a more voluptuous body, typically associated with femininity. So, arguably, a more feminine body, a more feminine exterior, but those men thought she was less feminine than the white woman. They thought she was less approachable. They thought she was aggressive and dominant. All of that from a smiling picture. Now, I'll just give you a nice smiling face. It's a smiling face, right? How do you get aggression? Let me give you aggression. Let me give you unapproachable. Let me give you, oh, that's so much bullshit. Really. She was smiling, and yet somehow she's an angry black woman. In a smiling, calm photo, she somehow becomes an angry black woman. He went on in his video, because the main premise of Find Your Love in Japan, the main premise of his videos is to prove that Japan is perfect, that Japan is a utopia. He only likes to show results that reflect beautifully on Japan. No, Japan is a wonderful place, but like every place in the world, there are faults. Racism is a huge problem in Japan. He went on to state that even though the Japanese men saw a smiling black woman and saw her as aggressive, less beautiful, less approachable, dominant, and all these negative words, and saw the white woman who had a neutral face as friendly, approachable, and more beautiful, and all these wonderful words, even though that was the result he found, he believed that that was a preference, because of preference, not because of racism. But in saying that, he goes on to highlight that Japan historically has a preference for white skin. Historically, Japanese men have a preference for white skin in women. Now, because something has been done for a long time does not mean it's not racism. Racism can be perpetuated over a long period of time for many, many, many years. So, saying that it has been that way for a long time, saying that that's what they were taught, that's how they were cultured, doesn't change the fact that that is racist. If you decide that somebody is less worthy of your attention because of the color of their skin, then that is racism. That is the definition of racism. Find your love in Japan. Let me just help you with this, because that's where you are going wrong, right? That is the premise that you set, and your premise is flawed. Racism is choosing somebody or failing to choose somebody because of their race. Yeah. So he went on a rant, and he blamed black women for the racism that they might experience in Japan. He said 95% of Japanese men may not like you, but there might be 5% that might. 5% that might like you. And you should show them your best quality. Now, if a black woman is smiling, approachable, beautifully attired, and she's considered aggressive, at what point will she be able to show somebody her best quality? At what point will she be able to show them that she's a great communicator, that she is friendly, that she likes to sing? At what point will she be able to show them any other dimension of herself other than her skin color? If somebody writes her off immediately upon seeing her skin color, regardless of her demeanor, sees her skin color and decides that she's aggressive and dominant and all these negative things, how is she supposed to bridge that gap? He goes on to talk about what black women should do with their vaginas and how they can do things with their vaginas and what they can't do with their vaginas. I would thank you very much to not address anything to do with black women's vagina. You're in no place and no position to be telling us what we can and cannot do, should and should not do with our vaginas. And this